Now, going on to the culture part of the podcast, you have Bud Light workers calling leadership cowards because they did not, quote unquote, stick with Dylan Mulvaney, even after they've lost 30% of their sales. So these people are mentally vacuous, perhaps, or they just, more accurately, they just don't care about profits or, being in business. They actually are calling leadership cowards. Cowards, really? Because they didn't stick with Dylan Mulvaney. Now, for those who have lived under a rock or maybe in Iowa, kidding, I live there, don't worry, folks. But all realistic, little summary of the situation, Bud Light thought it'd be a good idea. Again, they're the best-selling beer for about 20 years in the United States, and they thought, we're going to use this gal, Alyssa Heiderchild, the VP of Marketing. She is very, very happy to be the very first female marketing lead at the company. She put it on her LinkedIn. She's no longer on LinkedIn, interestingly enough. But she thought, what's a good idea? Let's hire someone who, this person's average audience is 15 years old. Let's choose this person as our brand ambassador. This person who is a biological male and is celebrating days of girlhood, I believe. And every day this person would do something pejoratively stereotypical. Wow, say that 12 times in a row. Stereotypical about women, such as wearing high heels and prancing through the forest. Which I did ask the female members of my family, that is in fact not something that women do. Now, they gave this person a custom Bud Light can, which, interestingly enough, in terms of value, that's one of the most important pieces of marketing history in terms of the business blunder of the century. They gave this person that can, and the boycott began. And Bud Light, they were between a rock and a hard place, although they put themselves there, admittedly, because if they were to stick with this person, quote unquote, the boycott would have increased. So they were very political in terms of they did nothing, which is the sign of most politicians. So the CEO clumsily, but actually I would say it's not clumsy, he's very strategic, he's a former CIA asset. He actually just said nothing in terms of a politician. They'd go on interviews and they'd ask him, oh yeah, do you think this is a good idea? I mean, what do you think, would you do it again? He didn't even rule out, the CEO of Anheuser-Busch Bud Light, he didn't rule out that they wouldn't hire Dylan again. Really? In one fiscal quarter, they lost $400 million compared to the same fiscal quarter last year. That was fiscal quarter 2. And the sales are continuing to go down. Every week, it's between 27 and 30% less sales compared to the same fiscal weeks last year. And I suspect that delta in sales is going to get worse and worse throughout the sports ball season. Because traditionally speaking, that's when people buy the most booze. Because, I mean, well, there's certain sports I can't fathom people actually enjoy sober. But nevertheless, people buy a lot of beer during the sports ball season. And they're doing all these advertising campaigns. Needless to say, I think it's just going to be a waste of marketing dollars. But nevertheless, that's a little summary of the situation. They lost about 30% of their sales, about $28 billion in stock valuation as people sold off their stock. And yet, it looks like these former Bud Light workers are accusing them of cowardice. And they're saying, oh yeah, this is ridiculous. It's like, actually, they expressed that they wish the management had stuck to their guns and told the world to get over it rather than reeling at the mistake. And I can't fathom these people. I don't know if they just don't realize how to run a business. And some of them are even claiming that Alyssa Heiderchild, who was the marketing VP, who was blamed for the disaster, had nothing to do with it. Which is hilarious to think that some people are saying, oh yeah, the CEO didn't know. This marketing VP didn't know now. No one knew. And in fact, in the beginning, they actually blamed an outsider marketing company. Which again, I don't think anyone believes for a New York minute, because when it comes to light beers, I would say most people say they taste about the same. You see the same thing with Pepsi and Coke. What is it? Corn syrup in a can? The biggest thing that pushes their sales is ridiculous levels of marketing. That's why Coca-Cola and Pepsi, they don't spend millions. They spend over $1 billion a year on marketing to get their logos out there so you remember them. It's one of those things where it's one of the most dependent industries on marketing. It has to be in front of the consumer, reminding them and basically bashing them over the head, saying, don't forget about our brand. So if the main thing about your company is marketing, would you hand that over without a lot of oversight? Would you have commercials without would you have commercials and brand ambassadors without multiple people signing off on it? Does that make any sense to you? That makes zero sense to me. Of course not. There's no way this is a rogue employee who goes, oh yeah, Dylan Mulvaney, that's our person. Here, have this custom can that we made for you. No, that took multiple layers of approval, I am sure. Though the CEO has been, he's pretty good in terms of abdicating responsibility. He still has a job. They did fire some people in the marketing department. I suspect these are some of those folks. But yeah, he's fine. Mr. Brandon Wentworth is just chilling. I was about to say having a good time drinking Bud Light, but let's be honest, how many people actually enjoy drinking Bud Light over the age of 23? I would say few and far in between. Now it looks like the company said that its total U.S. market share for brands had fell more than 5% to 36.9% in April, and it's just gone precipitously more and more and more. And it's one of those things where they're very fortunate. Their portfolio is so diverse. They have like 50. No, well, they had actually this business blunder's done so bad they actually had to sell some of their brands off. So they used to have, I believe, 54 brands of beer under their belt, but then they had to sell back. They sold off 7 craft brewing companies, and then 1 more independent brewing company. So they might be down to 43 brands or something like that, give or take. And a lot of Americans don't realize how many brands they truly own. So there might be a lot of people that are boycotting Bud Light, and they're buying this other product. I think everyone knows Bud Light, Budweiser, same company. It makes pretty good sense. But very few people know Michelob Ultra, same company. Coors, same company. Now, interestingly enough, a little nuance, Modelo globally is owned by Anheuser-Busch InBev. But in the United States, a contingency from the Securities Exchange Commission, or the SEC, of the joining of the companies InBev and Anheuser-Busch, they told them they had to actually spin off Modelo in the U.S. So in the U.S., Constellation Brands owns Modelo, which, more power to the people supporting the boycott, that's now the number 1 selling beer in North America, which again, it's owned by Constellation Brands, which I believe is headquartered out of New York. So it's one of those fascinating things where the boycott's definitely working. Now, the specific brand in their portfolio, Bud Light, that's feeling the biggest hit in terms of the negative sales. Again, that's the one that's about 27 to 30% less every week. Then Budweiser, that one's coming in about 10 to 12% lower sales every week. And the other brands, they're single digits decreasing. And I suspect some are even none at all. So it will be interesting to see. And thankfully, there's some fun little comments here from the Daily Mail article. So someone by the name of Les Paul, fair to say he probably plays the guitar a little bit. This person said, sales don't lie, liars lie. That's a very apt observation. I would tend to agree. Liars do lie. That makes sense. Now, he also said, all those employees who say the company should support Dylan after the billions of lost revenue should be fired. Let their wages help restore the company somewhat, unquote. That person got 328 likes and 2 down likes or down votes. Although, interestingly enough, I don't think it's an issue of money. They're spending more money than ever on marketing this year, which they admit they're doing it just to try to make up for the sales that they've lost. But again, I always compare this to a bad relationship where the husband and wife messes up and they just come home with flowers or jewelry, or what would women buy a guy? A new tie or something else disappointing. But in all reality, they're just bringing back a gift. They're not actually saying what they did was wrong, or they're not addressing the situation that brought them to that moment. Same thing with Bud Light. They're just saying nothing. So I suspect even if they were to spend more money, they'd have about the same results in terms of lost sales. Let me see here. We've got a couple other interesting ones saying... let's see. Another one saying by the name of B.K. Sargent saying, quote, this is why they work for the company and don't run it, unquote. Got 157 likes and 3 down likes or down votes. Needless to say, I don't think it would have been good, or I don't think it would have been profitable for them to stick with Dylan, because then the boycott would increase. And the boycott actually did increase a little bit because they are not sticking with Dylan. The left side of the political aisle is becoming a political issue. The LGBT community, they actually started to drop Bud Light from their bars. specifically because they did not, quote unquote, stick with Dylan. So if you look at Bud Light's marketing, they're spending a lot of money on, even for about 30 years, they've done LGBT sponsored parades. This year, even more so, they're actually increasing their public funding, or I say public funding, their sponsorships of drag shows for children. So all ages drag shows, although many would argue there's no such thing as all ages appropriate drag shows, and it's very similar to saying an all ages appropriate strip club. Yeah, exactly. There's no such logic in that thought because it's not a thing. It's not possible. But nevertheless, they're actually spending a lot of money to be the premier sponsor for a lot of those drag shows. So their logo is the biggest at the show in an attempt, I believe, to win back that part of the sales that they've lost, perhaps. Now, I would suspect that would also have them lose the same percentage of sales of folks who are more politically on the right. But let me know in the comments, do you think that sales strategy will pay off? And do you think they were cowards for not sticking by Dylan? It'll be interesting to see, but yeah, I would say the outlook for Bud Light is still not good, as a Magic 8-Ball might say. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in. I greatly appreciate it. Also, taking the time to comment helps the channel grow and develop. Don't forget we're giving a free flamethrower with every July, or actually, wow, time flies, with every September purchase at toppingtechnologies.com. Click the website for additional details. Also, thank you so much. I really appreciate the feedback. If you can take the time to click that subscribe button, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So I greatly appreciate you clicking that button. Also, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.